Most weed strains that are named after a flavor are lying to you a little. Something called blueberry might have a faint berry note if you really hunt for it, and half the candy strains barely taste like candy at all. But back in the day, there was one legendary strain that genuinely tasted like chocolate and coffee, a real, rich, roasted flavor unlike anything else. Then it disappeared. And years later, one seed company in Amsterdam set out to bring it back from the dead. This is the story of Chocolope. So to understand Chocolope, you have to start with the ghost it was chasing. And that ghost is a strain from the 70s and 80s called chocolate Thai. Back then, a lot of the weed coming into America was landrace weed, meaning the original wild strains from specific parts of the world. And out of Thailand came this legendary sativa. It often showed up as what people called Thai sticks, buds tied onto little sticks. And it had a dark, brownish color, and this incredible chocolate and coffee smell that old smokers still talk about to this day. That flavor comes from specific terpenes, compounds like beta-caryophyllene and humulene, the same ones found in black pepper and hops, which together create that cocoa and earthy roasted character. But a lot of it made its way to America through returning soldiers and traveling surfers who brought it back from Southeast Asia. And the legendary breeder DJ Short, the guy behind Blueberry, he described it firsthand as having a deep, rich, roasted coffee color and a coffee chocolate aroma he called heavenly. That's the kind of reputation this plant had. Now I want to be honest with you about chocolate Thai, because a lot of the story is romanticized. People remember it as this magical chocolate weed, and it did have real coffee and cocoa notes. But how strongly it actually tasted like chocolate is up for debate, and a lot of that flavor may have come from how it was dried and cured, not just the plant itself. There's also an old myth that Thai sticks were dipped in opium, which is mostly just that, a myth. The point is, it was a real, beloved, chocolatey sativa, and the legend around it grew even bigger over time. But there was a tragic problem with chocolate Thai. It was a nightmare to actually grow. Like a lot of those old tropical sativas, it took forever to finish flowering. It didn't produce much, and it was unstable and hard to work with. So as the whole weed world shifted toward easier, faster indica plants grown indoors, chocolate Thai just faded away. By the modern era, the original was basically gone, considered extinct. That amazing chocolate flavor became a memory. The kind of thing old-timers would tell you about while insisting weed just isn't what it used to be. So, that's the legend of it. A legendary flavor that the weed world fell in love with, and then lost, purely because the plant was too much of a pain to keep growing. For years, that chocolate sativa was just a story people told. Now let's meet the people who decided to go chasing it. Chocolope was created by a company called DNA Genetics. And DNA was started by two guys from Los Angeles, Don Morris and Aaron Yarconi. And in 2003, they packed up and moved all the way to Amsterdam to breed cannabis full-time, reportedly showing up with just $200 in their pockets and a ton of passion for growing weed. And these two weren't just random guys. They became one of the most respected and awarded seed companies in the entire world. They had spent years judging weed competitions, and they were convinced their California genetics were better than what Amsterdam was putting out. So they set out to prove it, and they did, winning a huge pile of cannabis cups over the years. They are the same company behind heavy hitters like LA Confidential and Kosher Kush and Tangy, strains that shaped whole flavor trends in weed. So when DNA decided to chase that lost chocolate flavor, you best believe they were not going to stop until they got it. So that leaves us with the million-dollar question. How do you bring back a strain that is basically extinct? Well, the answer is, you breed your way back to it. DNA got their hands on a chocolate Thai and used it as one parent. But remember, pure chocolate Thai was that impossible-to-grow nightmare. So they crossed it with another one of their own strains called Cannalope Haze, which itself is a Haze lineage hybrid with Mexican and Colombian roots. And that second parent was the genius part of the whole thing. Because Cannalope Haze had that soaring, energetic Haze-style high, but it had two things Chocolate Thai desperately needed. It finished flowering in around 8 to 9 weeks, and it produced way bigger harvests. It also brought a sweet, melon-like flavor of its own, along with myrcene-heavy terpenes that give the finished strain some of those relaxing undertones underneath all that sativa energy. So by crossing the two, DNA basically kept the soul of that old chocolate sativa, but fixed everything that made it impossible to grow. The result was originally developed internally as D-line before it got its commercial name. And that name tells you everything. Because Chocolope is just chocolate plus Cannalope smashed together, which basically tells you the whole recipe right there in the name. The flavor of one parent and the growability of the other. So they released Chocolope, and it hit right around 2007. And it made a splash almost immediately, because there was nothing else quite like it on the shelves. In an ocean of skunk and gas and kush, here was a plant that smelled like a coffee shop. Now let's get into what it's actually like, starting with the flavor, since that's the whole point. And I'll give you the honest version here, not the marketing one. Chocolope does have that coffee and cocoa and earthy sweetness, driven by those beta-caryophyllene and humulene terpenes, with some of that melon note from the Cannalope side. But just like its parent, exactly how much straight-up chocolate you taste depends on the specific plant and how it was grown and cured. Some people get a real chocolate-dipped flavor. Others mostly get coffee and sweet earth. In fact, if you go read what growers say, plenty of them will tell you they barely got any chocolate at all out of their plants, while others swear by it. That's the honest truth of it. So it's more like a mocha and melon than an actual candy bar. And the chocolate can definitely be subtle depending on what you get. But that coffee cocoa character is genuinely there, which was the whole goal DNA was going for in the first place. Now as a plant, Chocolope grew the way a sativa does. Tall, stretchy, and lanky, with long fluffy colas instead of the tight dense nuggets you get off an indica. But thanks to that Cannalope parent and that 8 to 9 week flower window, it finished in a reasonable amount of time and gave growers big yields, which is exactly the problem the old Chocolate Thai never solved. That combination of an exotic old-school flavor on a plant you could actually grow a lot of is a big part of why it caught on. There's something poetic about that too, because a strain that smells like coffee and chocolate also happens to hit like a strong cup of coffee. The flavor and the feeling actually match. As for the high, Chocolope is a nearly pure sativa at around 95% sativa and 5% indica. So it's the opposite of a couchlock strain. It's uplifting, energetic, cerebral, and happy. People describe it as dreamy and creative, and it's a classic daytime or wake and bake strain, the kind of thing people compare to a good cup of coffee to start the day. Because it's such a strong sativa, a few people do find it a little too racy or heady if they overdo it, so it's not really a wind down at night kind of weed. As for strength, it usually tests somewhere in the mid-teens to low 20s in THC, which is plenty strong, especially for a pure sativa. Chocolope also backed up the hype with hardware. It won High Times Strain of the Year in 2007, plus racked up multiple Cannabis Cup placements on top of that. That's not marketing rounding things up, that's an actual title. It cemented DNA's reputation, and it became a staple that sativa lovers sought out for years. And that legacy is really what makes Chocolope matter. Think about the timing. It came out right as the entire weed world was going crazy for heavy indica hybrids, all gas and dessert flavors. And here comes this nearly pure sativa built around an old-school chocolate coffee flavor. It kept that whole style alive when it could have easily disappeared for good. It proved there was still a real appetite for a functional, flavorful, daytime sativa, even while everybody else was chasing the strongest, heaviest indica they could find. For a lot of sativa fans, Chocolope became proof that the old style still had a place. It even spun off a little family of its own. Breeders crossed Chocolope with other strains to make things like Chocolope Kush, which added a heavier indica body to that chocolate flavor, and a few others. So the flavor DNA rescued got passed down even further. And where does Chocolope stand today? It's considered a modern classic. It's still sold, still smoked, and still shows up on lists of the best sativas and the best wake and bake strains out there. In a market absolutely flooded with candy and gas and dessert strains, Chocolope remains this respected throwback, the strain that reached back in time and pulled a legendary flavor out of near extinction. So at the end of the day, Chocolope is a story about chasing a ghost and actually catching it. There was this legendary chocolate-flavored sativa that the weed world loved and then lost because it was just too hard to grow. And instead of letting it stay a memory, Don Morris and Aaron Yarkoni moved across the world and bred a new plant that captured that old flavor in something you could actually grow and enjoy. It's not a perfect copy of the original, and honestly, nothing ever could be. It's not a perfect chocolate bar, but no weed really is. But it's the closest thing to that lost legend that most people will ever taste.